Hello, it's Douglas here again. This video is to do with why I'd never like to live in an over 55 housing development. It's another thing I'm pretty sure I'll never do in my unwanted retirement, living in one of those developments that are specifically for people over 55. Firstly, why 55? Is there some sort of tax break for developers on this sort of complex? Is it just because people in this age group are unlikely to have children? If I was, say, a widower of 55 who'd had a young wife and who'd died and had a child aged 12, would he or she be allowed to live with me? I've never asked that question, or seen anybody ever mention it anywhere. So I don't know the answer. Maybe somebody out there can tell me. Or is it because this age group tends to be less volatile and fairly peaceful in general? No rowdy parties, no punch-ups. Could it be that they're likely to have the money to easily afford to buy one of these flats? They're usually flats in these developments. Maybe it's just because people are living longer. There's simply more and more demand for these smallish 1 or 2 bedroom flats requiring little or no maintenance, and they're quite cheap to run. There's certainly enough of these developments to back that up. That theory anyway. They seem to be everywhere, and presumably they're popular and they're filling a need, so it's a quick and easy sell for the builders. But in fact the 55 designation has been imported from the USA, where there is a government act called the Housing for Older Persons Act, and it was passed in 95, and that exempts developers from provisions they would otherwise have to comply with, as long as the residents of the accommodation they're building meet certain requirements. And one of these requirements was that at least 80% of the housing must be occupied by somebody aged 55 or older. And this seems to have been transported across the Atlantic to Britain by the UK developers. But the UK has its own rules and regulations. 55 to 60 still seems to be the general breakpoint. I see a few of these places on my daily wanderings, and 2 things strike me about them. One is they're remarkably quiet. There's hardly anybody walking about. And the other thing is there's quite often removal vans in there. I'm assuming that means there are people dying like flies in there. Maybe not, but maybe that accounts for the places being quiet as well. The residents must be in perpetual mourning. But strangely, I've never seen a hearse or undertaker's van in there. They must go to the basement parking area to load up. Of course, it might also just be that folks are moving on to live with relatives or in a care home. I can kind of see the attraction of living there in those 55 developments. For some people, the quiet can be nice, and the lack of having to do much maintenance work or pay for it, come to that. They're also quite often handily placed for the shops, road and rail transport. I'm sure that must be deliberate. Some of them have communal facilities as well, meeting places, spaces, gardens and the like. And the more expensive and larger ones might have a swimming pool and a cafe, maybe even a cinema, that sort of thing. But the very phrase communal facilities puts me right off. There are those, and I'm one, who have no desire to voluntarily surround myself with senior citizens to the exclusion of everybody else. A lot of them might be people like me, and I wouldn't like that at all. Far preferable, in my opinion, to have the usual mix of the population all around. All ages, all types, all stages of life, kids to OAPs, working all sorts of jobs, school, retired, career, focused tradespeople, workers, busy areas, commercial estates, all kinds of buildings, traffic, cars, bikes, public parks, takeaways, art galleries, music venues, cinemas, cities, towns and seaside, all happening all round. Give me that any day, as long as I can escape it when I feel the need. I don't want to rot in some sort of death hive. I know that sounds unnecessarily cruel as a description, but I think it wouldn't take me long to feel that way if I was to move into one of these types of places I'm talking about. I'll probably come back to these 55 plus places in a later post, but that's enough for this one, I think. Of course, I'd like to know what you think about these developments. Do you like the idea? Do you already live in one? Am I insulting you by talking about it? What do you think are the best and worst bits? Or are you like me and hate the idea of being anywhere near one? There's plenty of space in the comments section below to let us all know. Please tell us, because there must be lots of people who are considering these sort of places, and a bit of inside info would be pretty useful. What'll it be next time? Come back soon to find out. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you're helped or mildly amused by these posts. So bye for now, and thanks for watching. See you next time.